Grand Risings. Today is Thought Provoking Thursday on your Shekinah Wisdom podcast. Grand Risings, my lovelies. Grand Risings, Grand Risings. Today, my lovelies, is Thought Provoking Thursday. And today is the day that I provoke some thought in you. All right. So, I have had a client who was going through some certain challenges in their life. And their challenges were related to moving on after heartbreak and how to move forward from that experience and while taking yourself with you in the process. Because sometimes when we break up from a relationship, sometimes a piece of us becomes lost with that relationship. Not only am I going to show you how to take yourself with you, I'm also going to explain to you how not to lose yourself to begin with. Right? Okay. So I'm going to bring me as an example in this situation. So the worst heartbreak that I ever went through was a couple of years ago. And the reason I was so heartbroken because that relationship was so codependent. I did not have a sense of self in that relationship. That relationship became an extension of me to the point where I couldn't see where it ended and where I began. And so, of course, when we broke up, I was shattered. My heart was broken. And I felt like I couldn't go on. I was stuck in a bed. I was celibate for 18 months. I was just really going through the gambit. Because I'm a type of person, when I get into a relationship, and I pour my heart, mind, body, and soul into it. Right? However, that wasn't the problem. The problem is the way that I was measuring how much the other individual was pouring into me. Right? And that could be distorted based on our levels and our needs at the time. See, when you go into a relationship and you're not sure on what you truly desire, guess what? You're just going to continue getting relationships until you figure that out. And for me, it was not only did I not know what I wanted in a relationship, I didn't know who I was. So therefore, how can I even know what I wanted to attract in a relationship? I didn't know. I had no clue. I was totally clueless, right? And so another issue that I had was I did not know how to date. I didn't understand the courting process. I didn't understand what that entailed because I've always done it in an unorthodox way. So there was a lot of changes that I needed to make within me. So I didn't have time to wish negative on that man. I didn't have time to talk about, his karma every day and what he's going to receive for treating me the way he treated me. I spent that time working on me. I spent that time building me. I spent that time in figuring out where all of my voids were and how could I self-seal them. And as I did that, I became more empowered. And I was able to empower other people in the process. And then I also figured out where it went left. And where it went left was I was pouring more into the relationship than was being poured into myself. So now I measure things and exchanges in our relationship. And that keeps me from being resentful. If I am looking at things as, okay, I'm going to pour this much, I'll wait for the person to match my energy. And if they don't match my energy, I am going to stop pouring. That's how we move, right? That's how we function in this day and age. And since I adapted that in all of my relationships, not just my intimate relationships, but in all of my relationships, my life has been more balanced. I have not felt as overwhelmed as I was in the past, because I was a giver, a chronic giver at that, a over giver at that. And I had to learn to measure my own giving. It's easy to look at yourself and say, well, I did this and that, and I don't understand why I'm going through this, because that's a good trait, isn't it? Not really. It's not good when you're giving more to others than when you're pouring into yourself. Because then those same others will look down on you like, oh, why haven't you achieved this, that, and the third? Knowing good and well, the reason you haven't is because you poured more time into them. So once I was given that wake-up call, I made sure that I was pouring into myself as much as I poured into those external from me. And like I said, the weight has been lifted off of my shoulders by doing so. You do not have to please everyone, right? Because in pleasing think about it. Does everyone please you? It's impossible, right? So focus on what you came here to do. Focus on your individual talents, your individual purpose, and move in that direction. I want you to know and understand that you are great, right? Sometimes we walk in a relationship and we think the other person is greater than we are. And we're not even realizing that they are a reflection of you. So if they're great, you're equally great. Because if 9 of your friends are doing something, guess who's going to be number 10? And keep that in mind when you are collecting friends. You want to make sure that the people that you surround yourself with are the same people that are willing to pour into themselves and to others at the same time. And watch that amazing force you guys become when you do that. Life is truly what we make it. And we are all we have. And that's where we extract these lessons from. We extract them from our interactions with each other. And I want you to think about areas in your life where this has applied. Think about areas where you've poured too much, or maybe you're the other person that has not poured enough. Then that means it's time for you to make sure that your movements are reciprocal. Why? Because the universal laws govern us all. Ignorance to the law is no excuse. You're still going to be beaten with those stripes from disobeying it. And I've already been giving you the clues on how to make sure that you do not do that. My lovelies, I want you to really sit down and think today. I want you to think about whether you have been a good friend to yourself. Have you ignored your red flags that you have been giving yourself about unsavory situations? How good of a friend have you been to yourself? And doesn't that friendship match the friends around you? If you're not true to you, don't expect people outside of you to be true to you, is the message of the day. And I want you to think about that. All right, my lovelies, if you need further help on your healing journey, head over to shekinahwisdom.com where you can book an appointment. If you want art therapy, head over to iamucollection.com. And if you simply want to support the work we do here, you can Cashapp Unearthing the Truth. All right, my lovelies, you have a wonderful, amazing, thought-provoking Thursday.